Islamic Center, sport facilities, extensive experimental gardens, engineering laboratories, libraries, Ummah convention halls, multi-purpose venues, and ATM. The strong scientific atmosphere that is equipped with moral rules has created the academic community of Ummah with excellent, innovative, personable, and independent personality who are ready to change and carry out the future. It has been a long time that for Ummah to provide the best for Indonesia and practices all knowledge and intellect for the advancement and prosperity of Indonesia. Multi-purpose venues ATM. The strong scientific atmosphere that is equipped with moral rules has created the academic community of Ummah with excellent, innovative, personable, and independent personality who are ready to change and carry out the future. It has been a long time that for Ummah to provide the best for Indonesia and practices all knowledge and intellect for the advancement and prosperity of Indonesia. Multi-purpose venues atmosphere that is equipped with moral rules has created the academic community of Ummah with excellent, innovative, personable, and independent personality who are ready to change and carry out the future. It has been a long time that for Ummah to provide the best
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Before we start our webinar, let me check on the availability of the speakers from Mr. Al-Hajj Zikrullah Kunli Hassan. Are you in? Are you in?
I think he's in.
I am in. I am in.
Okay, the second one, Mr. Muhammad Damsal bin Awang Damit. Are you in, Mr. Muhammad? Or Dr. Endang Jumali?
Ada.
Let me check from the... And the last one, Dr. Huria Al-Islami. Doctor, are you here? Have you joined the webinar? Assalamualaikum, Dokter. Dr. Huria, Dr. Endang Jumali. Okay, let's wait for the speakers to join our webinar. Inshallah, we will start on time by 1 p.m. Thank you. Okay, I saw Dr. Endang Jumali is there already, standby. So, Mr. Muhammad Damsal, are you in, Mr. Muhammad? Okay, let me remind you that please turn off or mute your speakers to make sure that our program can be done smoothly. And I really appreciate your cooperation to mute the speaker. And also, if everyone have a question, you can put your question in the chat room of this Zoom platform. Please to do so. So we will select the question and we'll ask the respective speakers to answer your questions. Thank you. And for your information that we have 1,200 registered participants, but maybe some of us join the Zoom or some of them join the YouTube platform. So Alhamdulillah, this is a very good acceptance or response by the public, by society, all over the world, not only Indonesia. And hopefully we can discuss our topic smoothly, and inshallah we'll get benefit of this discussion on the topic. Welcome to the head of executive board, BPKH, Bapak Dr. Anggito Abimanyu, I think already here, and Professor Dr. Dadan Ramdan, Director of Medan Area University, also have joined our webinar. But we're still waiting for Mr. Muhammad Damsal and Dr. Huriyah Al-Islami to join our webinar. Please also you can read the bio or the CV of the speakers in the WhatsApp group. We have shared the complete resume or CV of the speakers. Then you can read and know the background of the speakers. Thank you. We have 3 minutes more to start our webinar. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin asta'in ala umuri dunya waddin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi sahli sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. It's my pleasure to moderate this webinar. My name is Ahmad Rafiki from Medan Area University. Welcome to our international webinar with the topic implementation of Hajj by OIC countries, rules, regulation, and practices, which presented by Medan Area University, Hajj Fund Management Agency, BPKH, Indonesian Association of Islamic Economists, and specially supported by Law Faculty of Medan Area University. Special thanks to the Dean of Law Faculty, Dr. Rizkan Zuliadi, with our awesome speakers, Dr. Hurriya Al-Islami, Member of Executive Board, Hajj Fund Management Agency, BPKH Indonesia, Al-Hajj Zikrullah Kunle Hasan, Chairman CEO of National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NAHCON, and Mr. Muhammad Damsal bin Awang. The experience in those countries could be shared to the people, society, community, and participants in this webinar. The stakeholders, including the academician, need to know the process and the implementation of Hajj, particularly on the rules, regulation, and practices of managing of the Hajj fund that expected to be improved so as to give more benefit to the Ummah in the future. With the cancellation of Hajj this year due to COVID-19, maybe there are some impact on the OIC countries. Let the expert discuss the issues and the matters related. Thus, the objective of the webinar, number one, is to explore the implementation of Hajj in comparison with other OIC countries. Number two, to assess the rules, regulation, and practices of Hajj in OIC countries. And number 3, to elaborate effective solution by OIC countries in implementation of Hajj. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, just to remind you again, please to all participants, before we start our webinar, to turn off and mute the speaker to ensure our program can be done smoothly or without any disruptions. Before or during Q&A session, participants must write question in the chat room. Then we will select and ask those questions to the respective speakers. Let's open this event by citing Basmalah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Before we start with our panel discussion, we have opening remarks from respective leaders. With that, I call firstly Professor Dr. Dadan Ramdan, Master of Engineering and Master of Science, Rector of Medan Area University. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rafiki. Can you hear my sound?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. The Honorable Mr. Dr. Anggito Abimanyu, MSc, and Head of Executive Board, Hajj Financial Management Agency, Indonesia. The Honorable Al-Hajj Zikrullah Hasan, Chairman OCO, National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Nahkon, Nigeria. The Honorable Mr. Damsal Awang Damit, Chief of Hajj Investment Officer, Lembaga Haji, LTX Malaysia. And the Honorable Mr. Dr. Endang Jumali, LCMA MSc, Consul of Hajj, Consulat Jenderal of Republic of Indonesia, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And the Honorable Ms. Dr. Huriyah Islami MCL PhD, Member of Executive Board, Hajj Fund Management Agency, Indonesia. And dear participant of the ladies and gentlemen, as we all know together, performing Hajj is a pilgrimage to Islamic holy site in and around Mecca in city in Saudi Arabia. It is obligatory to do at least once in a lifetime if a Muslim is physically fit enough and financially able to undertake the journey. The pilgrimage is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It occurs annually in the Islamic month of Dhul Hijjah. Currently, the Hajj pilgrimage is getting serious attention since it becomes one of the fields affected by the massive impact of the current global issue called COVID-19 pandemic. The government of Saudi Arabia has officially cancelled the Hajj for most of the world's Muslims and saying the obligatory pilgrimage to Mecca will be limited this year due to the coronavirus. Lately, it determined that only pilgrims residing in Saudi Arabia may perform in pilgrimage. Ladies and gentlemen, the decision by the government of Saudi Arabia taken for the sake of mitigating the transmission of COVID-19. However, there are pilgrimages in various countries cannot accept the decision since many of them probably have paid the Hajj travel fees. Long way to perform the Hajj currently them disappointed with this decision. Moreover, other issues may emerge in several organizations of Islamic cooperation countries. Therefore, those issues are things that underlie the topic of the seminar today. We are going to listen and then, of course, discuss and share some valuable information related to the implementation of Hajj. Besides talking about the Hajj pilgrimage during COVID-19 pandemic, we also obviously need to know about rules, regulation, and practices of Hajj by the Organization of Islamic Countries. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I hope that professional speakers today could increase our insight into the implementation of Hajj. It also gives a positive contribution and good impact of managing the implementation of Hajj, as well as more benefits to the Ummah in the future. Hopefully, the pandemic would immediately come to the end so that everything can be back to normal. Thank you for all the speakers and committee for your cooperation, and also for all participants in this seminar. So, in the name of Allah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I open this seminar officially. Have a great seminar and thank you for your attention. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan Ramdan, Master of Engineering.
Samanya, thank you so much for your cooperation. This is the first ever, but this is not the last cooperation we are going to have. I think we're going to have more of this kind of events. It's very useful to our students, our future leaders, and for our brothers and sisters Muslim around the world. The Dean and the faculty of Law School and UMA, University of Medan Area, Chairman of CEO of NAFCON, Al-Haji Zikrullah Kunli Hasan, and staff from NAFCON, welcome, ahlan wa sahlan. I have had quite long history of cooperation with NAFCON. I very much look forward to work together with NAFCON. I have discussed with my colleague Huria to work closely together with NAFCON. NAFCON is our brothers and sisters on particular Hajj and Umrah. I saw my good friend Ishak Ibrahim Jay. Are you there, Jay? Yeah, we've met a number of times and we work closely together. CIO of Tapung Haji Malaysia, Muhammad Damsal bin Awang Damit. Selamat datang, Cik. Thank you so much for making time and share with us your valuable experience in managing Tapung Haji. And my good friend Dr. Endang Jumali. Pak Endang ada di sini?
Yes, he's there.
Terima kasih Pak Endang. I think thank you so much for making your time from Jeddah. Look forward to meeting you in Jeddah. Not in Jakarta, but in Jeddah. And my colleague Islami, and many of my staff who also joining the international seminar. On behalf of PPKH, just call it, don't call it PPK, it's just complicated. So I'll call it PPKH.
Okay.
From PPKH, the Indonesian Hajj Management Fund Agency, I would like to welcome all the prominent speakers, rectors, faculty, students, brothers and sisters to this important international webinar on Hajj implementations and operation co-organized by UMA, PPKH and EAAE. Discussing of Hajj implementations is very timely. It's very important, timely, as today our small number of brothers and sisters in the process of moving to Mina area to perform Hajj and Arafah. Performing Hajj is, as you said, Rector, is a lifetime achievement for individual, for Muslims. It's a religious international event, basically. Therefore, need to be discussed in a global forum. I totally agree, and I support this kind of events, particularly with our OIC member countries. If there's any problems Hajj related, Muslim brothers and sisters, Hajj Commission need to sit down together and to overcome the problems. PPKH is a quasi government public institutions established by the Indonesian government as part of their effort to better manage of Hajj fund to benefit pilgrims and Umrah and Ummah as well. We are dedicated toward the development of Hajj fund management, more professional, optimal, Sharia combined Hajj and Umrah ecosystem. We are working closely together with Minister of Religious Affairs, Kementerian Agama, Mora, including the Jeddah Hajj Council, chaired by Pak Endang Jumali, other ministries like Ministry of Health, Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Finance, Bapenas, and others, private institutions like Sharia banks, Majelis Ulama Indonesia, MUI, private tour operators, and Hajj educators, activists, both in public and private institutions. Internationally, PPKH has initiated some bilaterals and multilateral forums to overcome issues facing by many Hajj missions. Last year, we have had events alongside the ISAF in Jakarta. We invited Hajj mission from Nigeria. I believe Dr. Ibrahim came to Jakarta physically and a number of staff, Pakistan Hajj mission, and Tabung Haji Malaysia, who are fortunate to make the trip to Jakarta, but hopefully next time our colleague from Tabung Haji will also come visit us. WSUC World Hajj Umrah Conventions have made many initiatives to put all together Hajj mission with private tour operators, regulators, and in their annual meetings held in London or in Jeddah. Our long-term initiative to address our most pressing challenges, creating global opportunities in advancing Hajj and Umrah finance and investment sectors, contributions toward the pilgrimage and pilgrim development. Hajj represents the ideal of more than 1.8 million Muslims from across the globe, of an obligation only mandatory and condition feasible for able-bodied Muslims to observe. The cancellations of this year's International Hajj pilgrimage due to the coronavirus shattered the aspiration of more than 2 million intending Hajj pilgrims in an instant. We are grateful to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for demonstrating their great leadership and having taken aggressive measures to stop transmission and save lives. The Kingdom of Saudi has taken ardent actions, installing preventive measures and facilities to prevent loss in life and safeguard humanity. Having sealed the holy cities from being catalysts of pandemic, thoroughly sanitizing the holy cities of mosques of Mecca and Medina. Saudi Arabia's commitment toward welcoming the pilgrims and Umrah next time, once again, inshallah, as soon as possible, as positively echoed globally and appreciated across the globe. With the uncertainty of the spread of the coronavirus, we can only make a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this virus will soon be disappeared, while maintaining more disciplines and stringent health protocol in our community. Meanwhile, PPKH looking forward, first, to work together with Hajj mission, including Tabung Haji and Nahkont, in the area of Hajj and Umrah, in the area of housing, catering, transportation, also Islamic finance at large. Second, we certainly will learn the success of Tabung Haji operations, so please advise us how to accelerate toward better and optimal utilization of Hajj funds to help Hajj and Muslims around the world. Look forward to have a fruitful, meaningful this international webinar, and we'll meet inshallah in Mecca or Medina as soon as possible. Amin, amin ya rabbal alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Allow me to leave this international event. I leave it to my colleagues. I have another meetings. Thank you so much, Pak Rektor dan seluruh sivitas akademika dari UMA dan para mahasiswa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Pak Kepala, matur nuwun.
Thank you very much, Bapak Anggito Abimanyu, for the speech, and we hope that we have fruitful and meaningful webinar international as he expected, inshallah. Now we move to the next agenda, which is our panel discussion. So for the first, let's start with our first speaker, Dr. Huriyah Al-Islami, member of Executive Board, Hajj Fund Management Agency, or BPKH of Indonesia. Please, the time is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina may yahdihillahu fala mudhillalah wa may yudlil fala hadiyalah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'ahu bi ihsan ila yaumiddin. Wa bisrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'du. First of all, thank you very much, our head of the executive board, Pak Anggito Abimanyu, of course, for being here, for sparing the time, despite the fact he has a hectic schedule today. 3 meetings in the morning, 2 more coming. So thank you so much, Pak, most appreciated, and thank you our most appreciation on behalf of BPKH to UMA, University Medan Area, for holding this, to Prof. Dadan Ramdan, to Pak Ahmad Rafiki and all your colleagues there, and of course to EIAE together to promote the event. So thank you so much, Jazakumullah khair. And to those participants who have actually joined us, I see the total participants has reached 310 and counting. So welcome and thank you for being here. MashaAllah, my task has been eased a lot by the introduction from Pak Anggito. So I could say my job is done actually. let me just go into a bit more detail because he's a very busy person. You know, let me actually go just a little bit details. All the highlight were there already, mashallah. So now we have our colleague speakers here, mashallah, our friends from Tabung Haji, from the Nigeria Hajj agency, and also my dear colleague, Pak Duktur, double Duktur I call him, Sheikh Duktur Endang, thank you so much for being here. So Dr. Endang later on will cover the aspect of course in Indonesia, they divide, unlike in Malaysia, where they have both the management of fund as well as the management of the Hajj itself, the pilgrimage under Tabung Haji. In Indonesia, the two tasks are separated under two entities. The pilgrimage itself is under the authority of the Ministry of Religious Affairs, on which the Dr. Endang will do the presentation proper soon. And then for us, we will only actually discuss about the management of the Hajj fund itself in Indonesia. Next, please. Next page, please. Yeah. The BPKH was established pursuant to the law number 34 of year 2014. There is the law on the management of the Hajj fund, pursuant to which the law actually authorized for the fund that were to actually manage the fund. And the further to the law number 34, there were the of year 2018, and also of the central government that have monetary value, which are related to the Hajj administrations, one, And then it also include all assets in terms of cash and valuable goods that resulted from the administration thereof, from the administration of Hajj, from the pilgrimage, which source of origin could either relate to the Hajj congregation or other unrestricted legal sources. So from the definition itself, actually, it encompasses a very wide and comprehensive parameter, pursuant to which, if we take it literally, basically every asset and every cash that relates to the management of Hajj under the control of the central government should come within the purview of this definition. But that's what the law has actually stipulates. But next page, please. Yes. Later on, we'll see actually, despite that, we have divided the fund into two main categories. We have the Hajj fund and we have the Dana Abadi Umat, the Perpetual People Fund. These two actually are part of the Hajj fund, the Kewangan Haji. And the law number 34 has actually stipulated that why we do have this separate entity to manage the fund, because it has specific objectives, that is to improve the quality of the Hajj administration. Secondly, to improve the rationality and efficiency of BPIH spending, the biaya penyelenggaraan ibadah haji. This BPIH or BPIH is the expenses that is used towards the pilgrimage. Yeah. And then we have number 3, to benefit the Muslim Ummah. And how do we do the management? Actually, we are also being dictated by the law. While we manage the fund, while we manage the BPKH for its operational, there are 6 fundamental that we have to comply at all time, that which are first, Sharia principles. So whatever we do in our operational aspect as well as the management of fund, it has to comply with Sharia principles, 100%. There's no exception to it. And secondly, we have to observe the prudential principle. So what we do, it has to be prudent. And third, it has to generate benefit. Why we have to generate benefit? Later on, you'll find we have similarity with Tabung Haji, our neighboring country here, where basically our Hujjaj, the pilgrims, when they go for Hajj, they are not paying for the whole expenses, being the actual cost for the Hajj. They are basically paying for part of it, and the other part actually being subsidized by what we generate, the benefit that we generate from the management of the Hajj fund. Despite that, so the law actually obligate us to generate the optimal return for the Hujjaj, for the pilgrims, be those who will actually go for the Hajj for the current year, or those who are still in the wait because of there is this waiting system in Indonesia. But that is for them. As far as the people involved, the people in BPKH, Pak Anggito, myself, and all the executive board members, the supervisory board members as well, we are not entitled to profit for ourselves. So this is actually the element where we should be careful when we manage. We try to optimize the return for the Hujjaj, but we should not actually profiting ourselves. So that's the fourth element of the Hajj management fundamental. And the fifth one, we have transparency. So we have to do it very transparent. MashaAllah, we have a very transparent leader here with us, Pak Anggito. Only a couple of days ago, he has actually invited all relevant related parties of BPKH, and he shared all the information, financial statement of BPKH, since we have got a very good credential from our external BPK, our external auditor recently. And soon there will be a big event, ya Pak Kepala ya, where he will actually invite all the Hujjaj who are supposed to go, but they unfortunately due to the pandemic they cannot go, and other related parties, where we will actually we will basically inform more about BPKH, about its management, the management of the fund, and the plan that we have for them, inshallah. And of course, in terms of accountability, so we have a very strong, with respect to accountability, we have a very strong internal governance system where we have our own legal department, compliance department. We also have our internal audit and the risk management. And on top of that, the 2-tier board system in BPKH also requires all the conduct of the executive board to be managed, to be monitored by the supervisory board. And on top of that, we are also reporting to the parliament as well as the President of Indonesia through our reports. And we are also being audited by the BPK, that is the national auditor for the country. And we also have our regular reporting, be it on the website, on the newspaper, and as well as through the authority who are actually monitoring us. Next page, please. So having all those in place, we have to actually fulfill them. We have also enacted 20 further law that has been gazetted throughout the year of 2018 to 2020. So far, we have already 20 laws, and this law basically set out further the manner and the parameters, as well as the do's and the don'ts in our management of the Hajj fund. So for those people out there, if you are from Indonesia, if you've been hearing hoax, not very pleasant news about BPKH, believe me, they are not true. They are false. So when you hear something negative, don't just jump into conclusion that they are true, because we are heavily regulated. You see, on top of the law, on top of the regulation, the peraturan pemerintah, and the president regulation, Perpres, we still have further laws that further regulate us. So be rest assured that if there are any pilgrims among the attendees here, your fund is 100% secured. It's very safe, inshallah, because we are heavily regulated and we self-regulate ourselves as well. Next page, please, and the subsequent page. These are the list of the laws here. We have the 20 laws, 20 regulation, the peraturan BPKH that have been enacted. And next, please. Now this is the two dana, the two kind of fund that early on during the early presentation, we have already stipulated that we have two kind of fund. So the first one, we have dana penyelenggaraan ibadah haji, that is the Hajj fund. It's just complicated because when you translate to English, keuangan haji is also Hajj fund, dana penyelenggaraan ibadah haji is also Hajj fund. Anyway, what we mean here is the fund whose which original source from the pilgrims who would like to go for Hajj. So when they want to go for Hajj, what happened in Indonesia, they will need to actually register to get the number and the indication when they will go for Hajj. So there is this quota number. Of course, the details of the how it goes, how you apply for Hajj, and etc. will be discussed further by Dr. Endang. That is very much within the authority of the Ministry of Religious Affairs. So as of last year, we have about 120.75 trillion rupiah of dana haji, and we have 3.57 trillion rupiah of dana abadi umat. You may be curious, what is this dana abadi umat? This is one of the most appealing subject of discussion in Indonesia. So this is something maybe that will differentiate, one among the things that differentiate BPKH from tabung haji, because this dana abadi umat, interestingly, it has been accumulated before BPKH was formed, and it was actually transferred to BPKH along with its establishment. And what's quite interesting about dana abadi umat is that, you know, we are obliged by law to place it, to invest it, to get the optimal return from it. But the fund itself has to be intact. We cannot do anything about the capital. We have to make sure it is intact. Only the profit of it that we can use towards the CSR activities that have been that we have been carried out across Indonesia. We'll go and take a look into more details about it later on. As for this year, from 2019 to date, you can see the Hajj fund, the dana haji has increased from 113.68 trillion in June 2019 to 124 trillion in December 2019, and by June this year, it has actually reached 136.42 trillion. As for the nilai manfaat, the profit from the management of the Hajj fund, from the investment and replacement put together, it was 3.25 trillion in June last year, and it reached up to 7.37 trillion in December last year. And as of June this year, it has reached 3.44 trillion. Inshallah, we try to actually beat our own achievement last year, this year, inshallah. Next page, please. Yes, so here the Hajj fund. Do we manage the Hajj fund? Of course, other than the operational aspect of it, and also there are aspects where we actually, return some of the fund whenever those pilgrim who have registered had to withdraw or had to cancel their registration. But aside to those operational aspect of the Hajj fund, the primary duty on BPKH is very much to do the to optimize the Hajj fund by doing placement as well as investment of the Hajj fund. The placement here, however, is limited because law says we can do placement at the BPS BPIH, Bank Penerima Setoran Biaya Penyelenggaraan Ibadah Haji. These are the banks that have been appointed by BPKH to receive the Hajj payment from the pilgrims, be it the initial payment or the settlement payment. So as of today, we already have 32, if I'm not mistaken. I have the data later on. And then for the investment, this is the other aspect of it. And what is interesting, and this is where it differentiates the management of the fund, pre-BPKH and post-BPKH. Pre-BPKH, there was no specific mandate that the money has to be invested, but the law number 34 of year 2014 has made it very clear and has made it a requirement that during the first 2 years, we must invest the Hajj fund at least to the proportion of not less than 50% of the total fund. And then after the third year onwards, we have to actually ensure that the sum, the proportion being invested is not less than 70%. This is due to the fact of assuming the placement will actually generate less income, whereas the investment should actually generate higher income. In terms of investment, the law and the regulations, number 5, has further stipulated we can actually invest in 4 types of Sharia securities, but the Sharia securities, we can only invest in Sharia securities issued by the central government or by the local government. And when it comes to effects, for instance, we only can deal with effects that are regulated by OJK. And then we can also invest in gold, be it real gold, or we can invest in gold accounts being offered by the Sharia institution in Indonesia, Sharia financial institution in Indonesia. And then we also have the and other direct investment. So we have direct investment and indirect and other investment. And we have divided it as of this year because we are now, BPKH would like to focus on the other aspect of investment, that is the direct investment and the other kind of investment. So one department that used to be only one department has been split into 3. So we have one focusing on the Sharia securities and gold. We have one focusing on the domestic, on the all the direct and other kind of investment within Indonesia. And we have one that is focusing on direct investment and other kind of investment outside the country. Here I'm actually, as of April, I've been entrusted leading the foreign direct, the foreign investment and the international relations department. So the third asset class. As for the Sharia securities and gold, the kind of investment that we can do is include SBSN, Surat Berharga Negara, this sovereign sukuk with ISDB. Alhamdulillah, we have invested in properties, APIF, Awqaf Properties Investment Fund. We have actually placed our investment there, and inshallah, this is very much with the hope that it will actually facilitate our investment in Saudi as well. And we will have, inshallah, soon we'll have investment in Hajj services in KSA, and we would like to express our appreciation to Pak Dr. Pedang as well and also the Ministry of Religious Affairs and also the contingent over there who has been very cooperative with us in this respect, because we must work together in order to ensure that we can get the optimal outcome from this initiative, inshallah. And at the same time, we are also working in collaboration with Ministry of Religion, Ministry of Hajj, Muassasa, World Hajj Mission. This has been highlighted by Anggito just now. Next page, please. So now, if we are looking at the AUM, the asset under management for BPKH, because we are under the duty to have certain appropriate proportion for the placement and investment, so we have 55 0.084 trillion, yeah, actually this one under the placement, and we have 81 under investment. As in form of profit, we have 1.2 trillion, and we have 2.2 for the placement, and we have 2.2 for the investment. So at the moment, the proportion has been between 40 to 59%. But in June, as you can see, this is the expected yield actually from the yield as of June in 2020 from the placement and from the investment. You can see over there from the investment we have reached Alhamdulillah 5.87 in aggregate as of June in this year. And from the placement, because of the current condition, the pandemic and all, and the reduction of the rate also from the LPS, so the rate has been declining from 4.99% at the beginning of the year to 4.26%. So when we aggregate, basically more or less in June, we are earning about 5.18% yield from our joint investment and placement activities. Next page, please. This is number of BPIH. As we mentioned, at the beginning in 2017, there were 15. Alhamdulillah, as of today, we have 32. And these are the name of the banks. If we have people out there from this bank, thank you for being our partner, for working together with us. And we hope that we can actually improve the collaboration. We can actually gather more hujaj. You can, and we can improve our collaboration together between all the BPS, BPIH. We appreciate your collaboration. Inshallah, we whatever we do here with respect to BPKH and BPS, BPIH, we do not only aim for the return in this world, but also the hereafter, inshallah. Next page, please. And this is the projection of fund for the years 2020 to 2024. So we are hoping that in the total accumulated fund that we would have by the end of the year will be 140 trillion rupiah, and we are hoping it could be more. By 2021, we are hoping it will be 141. And then in 2022, why there is a decrease? Because of very much, we are hoping that more people will go, we are hoping actually over time we can reduce the subsidy, but we don't know whether it will happen or not. So in 2022, we are expecting the total accumulated sum will be 138 and then same more or less the same sum in 2023 and slightly increase in 2024. As for the we have mentioned it before, yeah, the total profit for the year as of June 2020 is 1.7 trillion from the placement and 5.3 trillion from the investment. Next page, please. So now we've been talking about the investment and the placement of the fund. We are basically very much, although we do that for both the Hajj fund as well as the Dana Abadi Umat, but let us talk further about the other aspect of Dana Abadi Umat, which, BPK has done a lot. We have helped people across Indonesia from Sabang to Merauke. And many people have actually benefited from the initiative from BPKH, but maybe not many have heard about it. So let me actually take a little time to discuss about Dana Abadi Umat, the People Perpetual Fund. this one originally collected from the balance of operational expenses during the management of the fund under the Ministry of Religious Affairs. But under the law of number 34, there has been a change in the way how the money managed, in the sense that if there are excess in operational expenses, it does not go to DAU anymore. It will go back to the Hajj fund. So it's originally collected that way, but it could actually increase under our management, because whatever profit that we make during the year, it doesn't have to be utilized 100%, although the government regulation allow us to go up to 100%, but it could be less, and whatever difference that we do not mean to allocate could actually go to the capital of Dana Abadi Umat. So that's how we increase it. And this, beside whatever allocation that has not fully disbursed for the current year, it will also go to the Dana Abadi Umat capital. That's the capital. So that's how it will increase. And of course, if you'd like, any one of you outside there would like to have, to actually earn pahala, eternal pahala, because you see the beauty about Dana Abadi Umat, the capital will be kept intact. So for example, if any one of you would like to put even 10,000 rupiah there, this 10,000 rupiah will stay perpetuate as long as there is Dana Abadi Umat. Of course, there is as long as the world exists, Dana Abadi Umat is there. So your money will remain intact, but the benefit that it will generate will actually give the contribution towards the CSR activity of BPKH. So imagine, with that small money, you can actually contribute towards the construction of the mosque, giving food to the poor. Imagine how that small amount of money can actually, this is maybe the aspect that the public have not heard, but maybe this is something that I should actually promote, and we should all promote that. Why not, put that little money, put it in DAO. Maybe I should do it myself, donate to DAO, because it can accept that kind of donation. And imagine how the money grows, how the money actually, the profit out of the investment can actually help many people, and yet the capital remains intact. And next page, please. Next page, please. Okay, this is, the previous one. You see, when we talk about DAO just now, the previous page, please. Previous page, not next page. Mundur, tolong mundur. Bukan maju, mundur. Lagi. Terima kasih. Okay, you see why I have this. I'm quite excited talking about the Dana Abadi Umat, because this is what has been happening. The law actually allows the CSR allocation, so we don't use the capital, as I mentioned. Whatever capital there, it has to be kept intact. BPKH cannot touch the capital. We can only invest and place it. Out of this investment and placement, we generate profit. So the profit every year is being used towards CSR, helping the needy in Indonesia. And this year, inshallah, it's not only in Indonesia, even abroad, helping the Indonesian students who are in need of help outside Indonesia due to the pandemic. You see, we are actually allowed by law to benefit the people in these 6 classes of beneficiaries that is related to health, socio-religious, Hajj services, worship infrastructures, education and da'wah, and also for the economy of Ummah. So imagine the sum from that 3.5, the accumulated sum that we have now, it generating some profit. As you can see, like this is the allocation that we have. Each year in 2019, we actually allocate 177 billion rupiah for the CSR purposes. And this year we have 185 billion rupiah. And in 2021, we will have 194 billion rupiah. 2022 will have 185 billion rupiah. And in 2023, we will allocate, inshallah, 188 billion rupiah to be spread across Indonesia to help the needies and to help all this area for the economy of Ummah, for the infrastructure, the worship infrastructure, mosque, musola, the mosque, and etc. And these are the allocation. Next page, please. But I'm more interested to show you the next page. Next page, please. Yes. Mundur. Tolong mundur yang tadi halaman. Yes. As you can see, as of today for this year, by 22nd of July 2020, we have already disbursed the sum of 74 million. And actually by today it would be more because BPKH is also participating in the kurban distribution. So there are, I forgot, it's actually skipped my mind, the total number of the cows that we will distribute across Indonesia. And not to count the cows itself, we have already spent, for example, if we talk about Sumatra Utara, we already spent 0.81 billion. And in Riau, 0.2 billion. In Sumbar, the west of Sumatra, 0.6 billion. You can see the figures here, you can see the numbers. And these are the sum that BPKH has been distributing, has been contributing to the Ummah across these cities and rural areas in Indonesia. And we have used that either with respect to the activities related to the health, education and dakwah, Ummah economy, worship infrastructure, social religious. For the worship infrastructure itself, we have spent over 14 billion now. And we are also helping during the COVID. The COVID, we help those hospital to set up the isolation center. We help with the health, with the equipment, with the health accessories needed by the doctors and the staff from the hospital, etc., etc. So basically, what we like to relay here, the message that BPKH has given a lot within this very short duration. That since it has been established, we are only 3 years by today. It has been in operation for only more or less 2 years because we only been active since 2018, and yet, mashallah, as you can see from the presentation just now, we have actually been quite active with the placement as well as the investment, and on top of that, we are actually contributing to the society, to the people of Indonesia, in the aspect that we are allowed to do in health, education, dakwah, economy of Ummah, worship in infrastructure, social religious, and we always have a helping hand when there have been unfortunate event like what happened in Palu, Donggala and Sigi last year, and also in Lombok. And this year we actually are helping in the Sulawesi as they are actually experiencing the flood at the moment. So that's all basically what we have to share for today. I'll be happy to welcome any question if there is. And I hope what we have shared today will actually enlighten the attendees, all the participants who are here, who have been joining us. I could see now 349 participants. I hope the information that we shared just now will actually enlighten you, will actually open up your and give you the information that you need with respect to what BPKH has been doing, how BPKH has been contributing to the society, and of course, as per the theme of this webinar, this is how Indonesia has been managing the Hajj Fund. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Huriyah Al-Islami, for the very insightful explanation and very comprehensive content that we can see how BPKH played a role and also how they segregate the Dana Abadi Umat and also the Maslahah realization 2020 based on provincial allocation. So that is hopefully the participant can understand and see the big picture of the of the role by BPKH or the Hajj Fund Management Agency of Indonesia. And now we move to the second speaker, Mr. Al-Hajj Zikrullah Kunle Hassan, the Chairman and CEO of National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, or NAHCON. So I call Mr. Al-Hajj Zikrullah. The time is yours. The speakers,
Yes, yes, I'm on. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات بفضله تتنزل الخيرات والبركات وبتوفيقه تتحقق المقاصد والغايات وأزكى صلوات الله وتسليماته على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا ومولانا محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Permit me to recognize Professor Dadan Ramdan, Director of Dadan Area University, for giving me the honor to speak on behalf of the Nigeria National Hajj Commission in Nigeria this morning, because whereas we're in the afternoon, it's just 8 o'clock Nigerian time.
MashaAllah.
The head of the executive board of BPKH, Professor Dr. Anjitu Abimanyu, we are honored to have you here this morning, like I did say, in Nigeria. I recognize the moderator, Dr. Ahmad Rafiki, Dr. Huri Al-Islami, the member. We have indeed, I have particularly benefited from the experiences of our Indonesian counterparts today. I expect that our brother, Mr. Muhammad Damit, CFA, the CIO of Lembaga Tabung Hajj in Malaysia, will also share for us today a very enlightening experience. The Consulate General of Indonesia, Dr. Endak Jumali, I also recognize your presence. I recognize the 342 participants who are with us, and many more that will still join today. And I greet all of you by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I became the chairman CEO of the National Hajj Commission only about 5 months ago. In those 5 months, we have been looking forward, as we used to do, to interact with the Indonesian Hajj and Malaysia Hajj organization. Actually, but for the pandemic, the management and staff of the National Hajj Commission will have been in Malaysia with Tabung Hajj in order to on a tour visit, in order to have good enlightenment as to how Hajj in Nigeria. I also have it on record that we have useful interaction with the Indonesian Hajj group, and we are hoping that we'll be able to continue to share this relationship together for the benefit of the Muslim Ummah. It is an honor and privilege to be part of today's event. I must concede that we still need to learn a bit more from Indonesian and Malaysia experience, because in the case of Hajj in Nigeria, it is the pilgrims who fund all the Hajj costs. No form of subsidy to the Hujjaj, at least from the federal government. Regrettably, due to the COVID, first is the overview of Hajj management in Nigeria, the Nigerian Hajj process, Hajj fund management and the Nigeria experience. Finally, recommendation for Hajj management in OIC countries. Next slide, please. Again, permit me to thank the Indonesian Muslim community for keeping the discussion on international discourse on Hajj alive. As we all know, Hajj is the only rite that brings about all the Muslim community at a particular day, at a particular time. I do hope at the end of this conference, we'll be able to leverage and collaborate in several fronts with the, and eventually we'll have better Hajj management. Next slide, please. Hajj in Nigeria historically was believed to have started between 98 and 1150 AD. Merchants, emirs, that is our traditional rulers, led various group of Muslims comprising of their families, subjects, and close associates to the kingdom now known as Saudi Arabia. In 1914, Nigeria got its independence from the British colonialists, and these emirs and merchants continued the management of Hajj. However, recently in Nigeria, because of numerous stories of disappointment, abandonment, the Nigerian government intervened. And as of 1958, the Southwestern region established pilgrim boards to manage the affairs of Hajjis in that part of the region. Subsequently, Hajj management was taken over by the federal government of Nigeria, and in 1975, the Nigerian Pilgrims Board was established. Permit me to say that, next slide please. Permit me to say that Nigeria is a federation of 36 states. Next slide please. Next slide. Next slide please. Yes, Nigeria is a federation of 36 states and what we call the Federal Capital Territory. We have an estimated population 202 million and a conservative estimate of Muslims being about 120 million. Hajj is managed in Nigeria by both the federal government, the state government, but the National Hajj Commission is the main regulatory body of both the State Pilgrims Board as well as the private tour operator. As we all know, Nigeria is entitled to 95,000 of allocations, which is shared between 38 Pilgrims Welfare Board and the private travel and tour. The 38 Pilgrims Welfare Boards include 36 states in Nigeria, Federal Capital Territory, and the Armed Forces of Nigeria, which has a separate agency that runs the affairs of those who are in the armed forces. Next slide, please. As you can see, at the apex is the National Hajj Commission. On the left side, on my right hand side, on the right hand side in the slide are the private tour operators, while NACON mainly regulates the states, and NACON also do pilgrims enlightenment, pilgrims education, but NACON mainly is in charge of coordination of all arrangements based on the power given to us by law, the act that set up the National Hajj Commission. Next slide, please. Now, before I go ahead, from my experience in Nigeria, the cost structure of Hajj is stated here. Only 3% form local charges. 7% of Hajj costs are in foreign exchange, dollar denomination. This includes the BTA. BTA means the basic traveling allowance, which government allow each individual to take to travel to the Holy Land. The Saudi charges is almost 17% of the cost. The accommodation, which also goes up to Saudi Arabia, is 25% of the airfare, which is paid also in dollars, is 31%. The feeding and local charges. Those are what the components. Incidentally, Nigerian Muslims who are doing Hajj have to bear all this cost without any form of subsidy. Next slide, please. So, like I did say, the pilgrims bear the entire cost of the actual Hajj arrangements. Our aim at National Hajj Commission is to benefit from the experience of our counterparts in Indonesia and Malaysia in order to make this pass this situation. We believe indeed that for those who love to go to Hajj, from our experience, mostly are poor people, people who use all their investments and put it in a basket just because we want to honor the call of Allah. We also agree of Indonesia and Malaysia in this respect, and I have indeed benefited from the presentation already from Indonesia. I hope Malaysia will complement. Now, what have we done differently? Is that we have, based on agreement reached by all stakeholders in Nigeria, including those who are outside the Hajj industry, is to levy every pilgrims every year a certain amount, which we call development levy. So in about 8 years, in about 6-7 years, we have been able to generate what equals East Hajj in Nigeria. The National Hajj Commission is actually funded mainly by internal generated revenue. Though we do have support of government in some basics, or some of our activities, or most of our activities today are funded from fundraised from Hajj and service providers. But now we are also about starting an Hajj savings scheme. Contrary to our Indonesia and Malaysia counterpart, we are just at the introductory stage of having a scheme that will be for investments as well as for businesses that can serve the Muslim Ummah and also assist the Hujjaj. That is the stage where we are now. We hope that as we move forward, we'll be able to get the benefits of those who are already in it, so that the Muslim Ummah of Nigeria will benefit. Our actual fees, like I said, is the cost of Hajj to an average Nigerian Muslim pilgrims is almost $5,000 US. And we have Muslims who are struggling most of the time to make their enemy love to go to Hajj. And that is why we believe that an investment and savings scheme is the way to it. For us here in Nigeria, the experience has remained that the fund that has been generated has not been invested, but rather they have been put into structures that we hope will eventually yield, and then we can help to subsidize cost of Hajj. As we plan to start and get government approval, the saving and investment scheme will be too willing to benefit from the experience of both Indonesia and Malaysia. I want to thank you for making me part of this occasion, and I hope soon we'll be able to be with our colleagues in Indonesia and Malaysia, and at the appropriate time we also want to invite you to our office also here in Nigeria. I thank you once again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for the speech and for the presentation. And I think we have very insightful and wonderful information about Hajj in Nigeria. So then we can compare and we can learn together from what has been done in Malaysia and in Indonesia. As some point that I can highlight on the presentation by Mr. Al-Hajj Zikrullah, he mentioned about the cost of Hajj structure in Nigeria. So everyone can see the slide just now. And also now Nahkon generate for 5.1 million US dollar from the Hajj fund. And starting now or maybe soon, they introduce Hajj saving scheme. And this is, I think they can learn and they can maybe also discuss with their counterpart in Malaysia and Indonesia about Hajj saving schemes. And also for the Hajj in Nigeria, the fees for Hajj is 5,000 US dollar. So maybe have a different compared to Indonesia and Malaysia. So we will have the information after this from Malaysia, from Lembaga Tabung Haji. So now I will call Mr. Muhammad Damsal bin Awang Damit, Chief Investment Officer, Lembaga Tabung Haji, LTH, Malaysian Hajj Pilgrims Fund Agency. And the time is yours, Mr. Muhammad. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Thank you, Bapak Moderator, Bapak Dr. Ahmad Rafiki. Thank you to the organizer, University Medan area, Professor Dadan, for the invitation, Dr. Anggito from BPKH, and I'm quite honored to be part of distinguished panelists from BPKH, Dr. Huria. Thank you so much for the presentation and the sharing of knowledge and experience. Honorable Mr. Al-Hajj Zikrullah from Nigeria. Inshallah, we will be working together on Hajj matters and operation. Thank you so much for the invitation and the sharing of knowledge. When I was invited to be part of this esteemed conference or virtual conference, I was thinking that I will be contributing or rather complementing the panelists. That's why my presentation is very much on investment. So, however, maybe during question and answer, I can add on a bit on Tabung Haji's operation as well. As you know, I am more into investment. I hope what I will be presenting, complementing what have been presented by the first two speakers before. So I will start with Tabung Haji itself, if you can allow me. Next page, please. Okay, I will go into three main modules. One is overview of Tabung Haji, and then second is our investment. The next one, the third one is what are the market views and challenges, especially on Islamic investment. Next, please. So when I share with you the mandates, I am just referring to Tabung Haji itself in terms of investment. Of course, the bigger mandate has a much broader mandate when it comes to Hajj management. As mentioned by Dr. Huria, Malaysia is a bit unique because we combine both regulation and investment. It started from 1963 because at that time it's still small, and we thought that we can manage both. That's why today is not about it is about sharing of knowledge. We as Tabung Haji, even though we have been there since 1963, we still have lots to learn from what we have been informed by Dr. Huria and our CEO from Nigeria. So a lot of shortcomings you can learn from our shortcoming. For example, in Indonesia itself, you have enacted 20 laws, whereas in Malaysia only one law to combine both regulation and investment. I'm sure the protection of the depositors will be very strong there. And then the deposit itself, or the investment itself, or the account itself, has been split into what you call Dana Abadi Umat, which quite interesting. It is like a capital, whereas in Tabung Haji, everything is being funded by the fund itself, 100%. So in a way, we don't have capital, so we have to drive the expenses from the fund itself. This, what do you call it, predetermined weightage on asset classes is to match the liabilities or to match the depositors profile. The one that put money into Tabung Haji for the sake of pilgrimage, to go to Hajj, and also for investment or next please. So our investment actually is a shared responsibility, not just fund administration. It's also a shared responsibility with our Hajj department and also our depositors department. So in other words, if let's say our Hajj department is providing a good Hajj services over the years, it will somehow attract new depositors. So we will have a more stable fund, and a stable fund is good for investment. So we really rely on them. So they are like our brand ambassador. So we are quite lucky. We have a good branding in Hajj, and this attract good deposit. The same thing with on the left side, optimal fund size. We are also relying on our deposit and operation department to make sure that our deposit is stable. So our deposit have introduced, even though we are only one fund, but we introduced few packages. For example, salary deduction from newborn, a salary reduction from your employers, and then some what do you call it, some incentive for deposit. So all this is to attract new deposit, because from management of fund perspective, we can execute our investment strategy better if our deposit is stable. So that's why we need the support from every department to ensure stable investment. Next, please. So our investment are divided into four, which is I mentioned before: capital market. Capital market is where we invest in listed stock and our listed stock include domestic and foreign. Second is on real estate, where we invested in property itself. Third is in corporate finance, where we go direct into companies. And last one is on treasury, where we do cash management. Next, please. So this is very important because, as mentioned by Dr. Huria, we are a combination. We are also a regulator. We are also investing your money. So when we combine these two roles, we have to be careful in managing our liabilities. So our liabilities, we are the depositors. Their risk profile is they want to have more prudential or conservative type of investment. We are on the deposit side, they're like a bank. When they put the money, they can withdraw their money anytime. However, if they have already registered for Hajj, the certain amount of money will be frozen and only the excess can be withdrawn. So we have some element of fixed income, because fixed income will match the liquidity requirement match the consistent return required by the depositors. Okay, and then we have 25% of equity. This is where we provide the growth potential of the fund. As I mentioned before, we don't have a capital. We are dependent on the growth of the fund, and this equity also very liquid. So when there's a demand for withdrawal, we can match the the demand for withdrawal. We have 50% of properties. Properties, just like fixed income, they provide sustainable, consistent income for the yearly profit distribution to our deposit. And then we have a 5% cash as management. So this is very important that we want to achieve in long term to be in line with our depositors' profile in terms of return expectation, also liquidity management if they want to withdraw, and also of course the requirement of the Hajj expenses, all from this strategic asset allocation. Next, please. So from that strategic allocation, we have asset liability management. This is a simplistic view of our asset liability management. So very important, we are driven, or we have to reference to our liabilities. Our liabilities, 39% of our liabilities are those who want to perform Hajj. So when they want to perform Hajj, we have to allocate certain amount of liquid asset to make sure that we can cater for the expenses or for the requirement for Hajj. And that's why in our asset, we have somehow matching it. See how we have 35% of our assets, which is short term, comprising of money market and equity. And those long term are the ones that who have yet to perform Hajj. They have not performed Hajj, but they have money frozen, somehow frozen in Tabung Haji for long term. So we match this with 65% of our assets. This comprise of sukuk and some properties as well. So we do it is not a perfect match with liabilities, but somehow it doesn't run too much. It doesn't deviate too much from each other. Next, please. So we do, this is profiling of our depositors, and then how we match the profile of our depositors with our strategy or investment strategy. So if you look into the left quadrant, in fact, some of our deposits, actually big chunk of our depositors has already performed Hajj. So when they already perform Hajj, but they're still, syukur alhamdulillah, they're still faithful with Tabung Haji, they still put their money into Tabung Haji. However, from investment perspective, we see this somehow could be risky, because they can always take out their money because they already perform Hajj. So, but what attract them to Tabung Haji even after performing Hajj is because of the other benefits. For example, zakat is already paid on top of the profit. So this kind of benefit make them still linger on depositing in Tabung Haji. So if they have performed Hajj and they are more than 55 years, $31 billion could be at stake where they can withdraw their money anytime. So that's why we have to be mindful of this, and we have matched a suitable type of assets to match this. Let's go to the other extreme. Let's say the young ones, but not yet performing Hajj. This is very sticky money. We like this. They're still young. There's still more years to go before performing Haji. So this is very, very stable. It's about 31 billion. So we will invest this in a very, very stable investment. Next, please. So this is another profiling. Same quadrant, performing Hajj, already performed Hajj and not yet performing Hajj. But we subdivided more into high risk and low risk assets. So again, those who have performed Hajj, there is a high risk to perform Hajj because it is very much in the form of hot money. So there is a potential withdrawal from this cluster, and we have suitable asset classes to match this kind of cluster. And for those who have not yet performing Hajj, we call it sticky money. With this one, we can match by investing low risk and long-term assets. Next, please. So this is the fund size of Tabung Haji from the year 2004 and from current June 2020. We have increased from 12 billion ringgit now to about 74 billion ringgit, and the number of depositors have increased from 4.9 million to 8.8 million depositors. Next, please. So this is on the market. So when we invest our money, the big question is the Islamic instrument enough? If let's say the whole world now is very good, very, what do you call it, coordinated in fund or Hajj management, the answer is simply yes, because the instrument worldwide is more than enough for Hajj operators all over the world, be it sukuk or shares. We invested both in domestic and foreign. So if you look into shares itself, there's a big what do you call it, size for Islamic sukuk, 17 trillion. For MSCI ACWI means All Country World Index. So globally, we have about 7 trillion of shares to be tapped. Asia Pacific is about 4 trillion US dollar. Sukuk itself in year 2000 is 130 billion. So the market is big enough for us to invest in. So it's just for us, Hajj operators, Hajj management, to make sure that we invest in the right amount of asset classes, the right amount of maturity, so that it is in line with our depositors profile. So this is very important to note that the investment size all over the world, even domestically, is enough for us to optimize our investment return for the benefit of our depositors. Next, please. So this is just a what do you call it, a prelude. Just to share, we are actually in a very challenging situation globally. The world is very much affected by COVID-19. In fact, even before COVID-19, actually global economy is already slowing down, but COVID-19 is exposing the uncertainty in economic recovery. So, sorry, I think there are some, okay, I didn't do that. But anyway, so even with these challenges, there will be some opportunities that we can tap. So in other words, we have to be mindful of the risk of investment globally, because it's that as the economy is slowing down, but there are some decoupling. The stock market is still doing okay. So we have to be careful because there is some decoupling. There's a difference between the market and the stock market. The stock market is doing well, but then the economy is not. So from investment perspective, we have to be careful investing globally now. Next, please. Next, please. Again, breaking news. As I mentioned, real economy is not doing well, but our stock market is okay. So we have to be careful on investing. Next, please. So this is just to show to you that there is always a price on equity. There is always a price on sukuk. So the first thing that we should do from our perspective, we should start our investment philosophy with strategic asset allocation, as I shared before. So we have to be guided by strategic asset allocation because we have to match our investment mandate, our investment profile with our depositors. So I shared before, because of the deposit, we have 55% sukuk, 25% equity. Simple as that. However, we have to know what level are we in, what kind of equity and sukuk, what price of equity, what price of sukuk we're in. So if you look into the crisis before, we can see that equity was very cheap in March. So it doesn't mean we have to go 100% equity just because equity is cheap. So we are still guided by SAA of 25% equity. So when the market say equity is cheap, we don't say 100% equity, we just say 25% plus thing, we have to be practical. So we have to increase a bit from our SAA. The same thing, if the sukuk is better, we don't say that we go 100% sukuk, that is being too prudent. We have to say, we have to still stick with our SAA, which is 55% sukuk, but maybe plus 2 or 3% sukuk. So this is just to say to you, yes, we have to stick with our SAA, but we have to be flexible enough to follow the market. So our SAA is actually derived from the profile of our depositors. Okay, our SAA is driven by our depositors. Our depositors demanding stable return, liquid portfolio. That's our depositors. But the deviation from SAA, which is allowed, is depending on the market. So we should not just stick to SAA. We have to be very flexible in our investment decision. Next, please. Now the market is very challenging. I know some fund manager from the audience. We always talk about fundamental. Yes, when we look into bond, when we look into equity, fundamental is important. That's where EPS, which is earnings per share growth, is very important. Meaning if the company go up, the earnings go up, by right, the valuation is also going up. If you look into S&P, which is in US, earnings go up by 5%, the valuation goes up by 25%. So we have to be careful in this market. So in other words, what drives the remaining 20% is because of the...
I can highlight some of the points here that Tabung Haji has 3 laws that related to the Hajj, implementation of Hajj. And Indonesia has, I think, about 20 laws that related to the Hajj implementation. And then Mr. Muhammad also highlighted the capital structure among comparison between Malaysia and Indonesia. Like, for example, Lembaga Tabung Haji, because Lembaga Tabung Haji is actually a body that have 2 functions. One is regulatory and one is investment, whereas BPKH is only for investment. So there is what we call a function and the role that played by both board or agencies. And also, Mr. Muhammad also highlighted the liabilities, the asset and liabilities between there is old depositors and young depositors. So this is kind of information that we can learn and maybe also we can implement in our country or maybe in other countries of OIC countries. So that is the important information, and include also the sukuk that involved here in the investment of Hajj fund. Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Damsal. So now we move to the last speaker, Dr. Endang Jumali, Consul of Hajj, Consulate General of Republic of Indonesia in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Dr. Endang, the time is yours. Hello, Assalamualaikum, Dr. Endang. Let me check first. Maybe the speakers. Waalaikumsalam, Waalaikumsalam, Dokter. Now your turn, Doctor. The time is yours. Yes, yes. But can you please maybe a little bit closer? Then the... Okay. We can... Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Doctor, sorry, Doctor, can you... Dr. Dr. Endang, excuse me, Dr. Endang, can you a little bit like improve the voice or the technical things there, because your sound is echoing, your voice is echoing. Maybe you can do some, how to improve the clarity of the voice, not so clear. Or maybe because of the connection is bad or what? We can hear you, but the sound is not so clear. So maybe please, maybe you can improve a little bit. Yeah, please try, Doctor. Hello. Yeah, we can hear you, but so not so. I think the voice is yeah, Doctor. We can hear you, but the voice is not so clear, like echoing. Maybe there is someone just now talking to you is quite clear compared to your voice. Someone there, maybe? Okay. The connection, yeah. Okay then. Okay then, Doctor, you can proceed. Yeah. Please. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Endang Jumali, the Consul of Hajj, Consulate General of Republic Indonesia in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. We are very sorry because sometimes the connection is not so good because Dr. Endang in Saudi Arabia, we cannot guarantee that the signal and the connection is good as we expected. But thank you very much, Dr. Endang, for the insightful explanation and a deep elaboration in terms of costs and expenses of Hajj in Saudi Arabia. So the participant can read the slide which shared in the group WhatsApp. So can see the details of the cost of the Hajj, especially what have been done by Indonesian body, Indonesian Hajj committee in Saudi Arabia. So now we move to the next agenda, which is Q&A. Alhamdulillah, I have received so many questions related to the implementation of Hajj, and I'm so sorry if some of the question I cannot ask the speakers because so many, I think about 30, more than 30. But for the first question, I would like to dedicate the question to Dr. Huria. Dr. Huria is, I have to check first. Dr. Huria, are you still in the webinar? Assalamualaikum, Dr. Huria. Okay. I think while waiting for her, so maybe my question is, the question from participant will be to Mr. Muhammad Damsal from Lembaga Tabung Haji.
Okay.
Wait, because it is okay. This is the question from Dr. Lelisari. We have to learn a lot about Hajj fund from Malaysia, where Hajj fund are used to finance direct investment whose profits are returned to customers who save on Hajj funds. So I have been to Malaysia to see firsthand the Movenpick Hotel, the result of Malaysian Hajj fund. What about Indonesia? I think this is to Indonesia, but maybe Mr. Muhammad can share a little bit about the investment in Saudi Arabia, because there is an example of Movenpick Hotel. I'm not sure this, but maybe you can share with us how is the investment fund that have been implemented by Lembaga Tabung Haji. Please, Mr. Muhammad.
Thank you. A good question. On direct investment, it falls under strategic investment and corporate finance. We do invest directly in properties, which are beneficial for Tabung Haji, beneficial to the pilgrims. We invested in Movenpick, is in Malaysia, in KL, Malaysia, and we also have a long-term lease in properties in Saudi Arabia. So all this, though it benefits the pilgrims, we also have some profit from this investment. So it has two two benefit. One is the profit. Second is to better able to service the pilgrims, to service the pilgrim. For example, the one in Movenpick, it is not just hotel, but we have like immigration custom integrated in the hotel. So when the pilgrims were to go to Hajj, they don't have to go to the airport. They can do everything in the hotel. So the what do you call it? The operation of the Hajj, the what do you call it? The logistic and the what do you call it? The processing of the Hajj document can be done in the hotel itself without having to go to the airport, and it goes straight to the plane. So when we do invest in private investment, private hotel and all that, it's not just for the profit, but to ensure that the pilgrims are very comfortable, the service can be rendered excellently and with less what do you call it, discomfort. So that's our answer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. I will have a question to you later on. Now, maybe waiting for Dr. Huria, we move to Al-Hajj Zikrullah Kunle Hassan from Nigeria. So there is a question for you, sir. Whether the Hajj fund invested in Wakaf, the Hajj fund is invested in Wakaf in hotels and hospitals, schools, or others. And how is the profit benefiting the Hajj? So maybe this is a question from Dr. Slamet Wiharto, Universitas Trisakti. So maybe Al-Hajj Zikrullah, you have the answer. Please, Al-Hajj.
Yes. Well, let me say that in the last few years or so, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we hear you.
In the last few years or so, the government support for Hajj in Nigeria has remained consular. The financials are borne mainly by the Hujjaj and managed by the National Administration. Truly, like I did say earlier on, we are still at the infancy stage in terms of fund management for the purpose of Hujjaj, in the sense that we are only at the beginning process where we are building hospitals, we are building clinics, hotels and event center only in Nigeria, with the purpose that eventually, once it is finished, the process of the income will be used to also further subsidize Hajj. But as at present, we started only this last year. So we have not even finished the process of construction. We are not doing investment in securities. All we are doing for now is buildings of structures, hotel-like structures, clinics, and event centers at about 24 locations in Nigeria. We haven't got to the stage yet of getting profit from such investment, but we're hoping to start soon to that level. For now, the Hujjaj bear the cost of the pilgrimage, and the government's involvement is only in the payment of salaries to the staff, and then the support, the consular service support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Al-Hajj, for your answer. Maybe later on, Nahkon will go to social finance, like maybe Wakaf and other instruments. Now we quickly go to Dr. Huria. There is a question for you. Actually, one of the question is similar, like I have mentioned to Mr. Muhammad, related to the investment fund, whether it can be invested, maybe like Malaysia, they have hotel in Mecca. And the second one, maybe there is you can combine to answer this question. How to guarantee the fund is free from riba?
I'm in a conference.
how you can guarantee the fund of Hajj free from riba, and also maybe you can reveal, because some society asking about this fund, especially there is also one of them, the participant mentioned about they are worried about the misuse of the fund to other purpose. So maybe Dr. Huria, you have the answer. Please, Dr. Huria. Betul? I'm still Dr. Huria is still not okay. I saw her.
Maybe I can answer from an issue perspective.
Yeah, because this question actually related to you, because in DH you have you own Sharia department and Sharia Advisory Council. So Muhammad, if you have any information, share to us.
Thank you for the question. Yes, in Tabung Haji itself, actually we have many line of defense. First, when I invested, the instrument must be, from the beginning, must be Sharia compliant. For example, when I invest in equity, it must be listed as the Sharia compliant from Securities Commission, MSCI, Dow Jones. So there are first screening. Second screening, if there is a doubt, we go to the Sharia. For example, it's equity, but let's say the preference share, then we go to Sharia. So in other words, the Sharia department is making sure it is, there's a double check, and then it's like halalan toiban, so we make it even more Sharia. So it's not just on investing on Sharia, but perhaps the stocks, if it goes from Sharia to non-Sharia, sometimes the stock can move from Sharia to non-Sharia. How do we do with the proceeds? Can we take the profit? If there's a loss, can we maintain the stock first before it reach profitability? So the Sharia Council will help us, not just when it comes to buying the stock, but also when there's what happened to the profit and so on. So yeah, so maybe Dr. Huria can add on some more.
Thank you so much. I apologize that just now actually my Zoom was muted and I couldn't unmute it just now. So I was trying to speak but I couldn't get through. So thank you anyway. May I have the first question again? Sorry, actually I skipped my... What was the first question? I got the second and third question. The second question about the riba, the third question about potential abuse, how to actually make sure that there is no abuse. What was the first one? Oh yes, remember about Tabung Haji, right? Similar to Tabung Haji. Can we have hotel in Makkah? So for your information, actually, well, of course, we cannot be compared to Tabung Haji, which has been established since 1963, if I'm not mistaken. And we are only 3 years old, so 37 compared to 3. But despite that, this year we are actually going quite aggressive about the investment in Saudi, Makkah and Medina in particular. And in fact, we have this prospect of investment in hotels already in Makkah and Medina. So we are actually looking into it. We are trying our best. We are giving our level best to actually investment and other kind of investment which relates to the pilgrimage, be it in Saudi or in Indonesia. So inshallah, give us time. We are working on it. We are working really hard. We are hoping that inshallah, actually, if the Hajj is there this year, you would have started seeing some brand of BPKH. You will see, for example, for the Jumrah pocket, the pocket for the Jumrah, there will be BPKH brand already alongside with the Muassasa. But because it is cancelled, you don't see it. Otherwise, you will see in the qiyam, the tents, everything. You see BPKH. For the Rullah, it doesn't happen this year. There's no Hujjaj we are sending from Indonesia. But next year, we are hoping yes. So please pray for us that the process will be made smooth for the Indonesian representative to actually materialize this. It is of course our primary and our most priority to do this, to have the investment relates to Hajj, pilgrimage, in Makkah and Madinah. So soon we are actually targeting the hotel accommodation, the food services, as well as the logistic in terms of transport for the Hajj. These are the product that already has the fatwa that says it's Sharia, then only we go there. And as with respect to other kind of activities, like when we give financing and all that, we make sure that we only do it in such structure which we already have the MUI fatwa for such structure, and we comply to it. So we are actually putting this in place here. And on top of that, of course, whatever proposal for investment will go to the executive board. In the executive board, we are also screening the Sharia compliant aspect of it. And when it goes to the, in MashaAllah, we have people who are with strong Sharia background in the executive board. And when it goes to the supervisory board, who is doing the second layer of valuation and approval to the proposal, they also do the same thing. And we also have people with strong Sharia background there in the supervisory board. So we have several layers, and of course later on we have also our internal audit, we have our compliance department, and we also have our BPK, the external auditor of BPK. And most importantly, of course, we are always working in parallel with the MUI and with the DSN of MUI. So for example, when we want to invest in a product from abroad, and even when they already have the Sharia pronouncement, just to give us comfort, we actually consult with the MUI again to make sure that it is completely Sharia compliant. So rest assured, all the placement and all the investment of BPKH actually are complying with the Sharia principles, so no interest or riba involved. That's the second. Now the third, potential abuse. Well, we already have in place the internal control system. And first of all, as I mentioned, we are actually being the entity established by law. All our activities are already restricted. We have corridors that we cannot go beyond it. We can only walk within that corridor. And the corridors are set by law, by the regulation. They are strict. They are not simply set by BPK. It's not like we do what we like. No. There are already restrictions. There are already parameters. There are already fences. Yeah. Then we cannot go beyond that. We have to walk within the path that has been laid down by the law, and actually also safeguarded by the regulations, be it the government regulation, the president regulation, as well as the BPKH regulation. They are all enacted, so they are actually binding to in Indonesia. And this is when we talk about the regulatory landscape that we have, and we have this also. We also have this duty and obligation to report and to make disclosure to the public. So from this report, from this disclosure, you can see where the money is, where all the money, where all the fund goes. It's very transparent. It's very, but you can tell. You will know if this money will be used for certain purposes. You can see it. Just now we actually disclosed already where the money goes. These are the, we are still in our use. We still have very limited form of investment. But the point is, it cannot go beyond that. It cannot be like, oh, the government money, BPK give me money. No, that won't happen that way. We have tiers and layers of defense and of a system that will actually protect the Jama'ah, the pilgrims' money from to ensure there's no abuse and there's no misuse of the fund.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it is very clear related to the fund, the misabuse, which not happen actually. So everyone here in participant can see the clear picture of how the fund is invested by, especially by BPKH or by the Indonesian Fund Management Board or agency. So now the question to Dr. Endang Jumali, I think this is more technical things on the facilities of the Hajj, particularly for the Indonesian Hajj. How is actually the facilities there, especially now the Hajj is cancelled. So what is maybe you can share with us facilities and then the practices that now have been cancelled and stopped.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ahmad.
Dr. Endang.
Yeah, thank you. For this year's.
Dr. Endang.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I think. Okay. I will come back to.
Test. Did you hear me, Mr. Ahmad?
Okay, so we move to the next.
Ada suara nih.
Yeah, Dr. Endang, please. Yeah, please, Dr. Endang.
Yeah.
Can you share with us about the facilities and the?
Yeah, of course, because there is no Hajj for this year.
We want to know the updates.
Yeah,
Saudi Arabia.
Okay. Because there is no Hajj of this year, so the facilities will be used for the next year. After we agree with some owner of the hotel for this year. So the Ministry of Religion Affairs from Indonesia was issue the decision for the using all the facilities for the next year. So we already get the agreement with the owner of the hotel, owner of the company catering. So will be used to the next year. So, Mr. Ahmad, this is the answer.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the update, Dr. Endang. And now we go to the next question to Mr. Muhammad. This is from a student, PhD candidate of Western Sydney University. But the question is very straightforward. I'm so sorry. How the Hajj fund is not misused by political purpose, such as one and how does LTH got the SPV? I'm not sure the full word of SPV to normalize the balance sheet, and what is the risk mitigation of the investment if there is loss of investment. This is far away from Australia. Please, Mr. Muhammad, maybe you have the answer.
Thank you for the questions. For every investment proposal, we have to go through a very strict screening process. We have a few committees that we have to go through. We have to look from all angles, from Sharia, from governance, from economic viability of the fund, and even from the promoter itself, the character of the promoter. So loss, how do we prevent loss? I think in any fund management company or investment company, there's no such thing as no loss. I think every fund, there will be a loss, there will be a profit. I think what is important, how we look into the portfolio. So the portfolio as a whole must be healthy. So there will be one or two investment or few investment loss making, but there will be, but on a portfolio basis, it should be profitable, or it should be at least from risk management standpoint is being taken care of. For example, I just shared with you just now, we have a very good guided by strategic asset allocation. When we write the strategic asset allocation, we also look into risk perspective, where this risk must be aligned with the risk of the depositors. If the depositors want liquidity, we give them liquidity. If the depositors want less market risk, we make sure it is less market risk. But we look into overall. For fund management, to make sure there's no single investment losing money, I think is not practical. There will be some investment losing money because of the market, sometimes the pricing, the product itself. So it is not practical, it's not politically realistic to assume 100% of the investment making money. Not logical, because we are human beings, we make mistakes. However, at least on the portfolio basis, we look from risk risk management before we make investment. So yeah, that's fine.
I think before I move to another speaker, there is some related question to you, Mr. Muhammad, related to the Islamic capital market, which TH is the major participant. What is the government role? How supportive is the government to TH? And one more, so you can answer together. Yes, TH did return the profit to the customer, but retain small percentage for reserve. So how you answer this question, Mr. Muhammad? Thank you.
Okay, the first thing is on the sorry, what was the first thing?
Islamic capital market.
Islamic capital market. So the government of Malaysia has been very supportive on the Islamic capital market. I mean, we established our own Islamic bank, Bank Islam, and then of which Tabung Haji is the majority shareholders. Government role is very supportive, both from equity and fixed income. On the equity side, the government is very supportive in the sense that, for example, the Securities Commission is doing their own screening for the stocks. They have their own parameters. Bank Negara on the sukuk, they have their own parameters for sukuk. They make sure that it is being followed. It's not just, and the thing is about our regulators, such as Securities Commission and Bank Negara, they are not just regulating the Islamic capital market, but the thing is, they're playing a dual role of developing the market as well, which is very good. For example, Securities Commission is providing incentive for the sukuk participants. For example, the fund managers, they're given tax exemption for a few years. So the good thing about it, the regulators not just regulating the Islamic capital market to ensure smooth operational, smooth functioning of the market, but they are also playing the role of development. So when they're playing the role of development, the players like Tabung Haji actively to join in to ensure the development is carried out not just locally but internationally. Second question is on the sorry, what's the second question? On the
it's related to the return, the small percentage for reserve.
The small percentage of reserve, if you look into our Act 1963, it is already accorded in our management. We must have reserve. This is for future, what they call it, for future provisioning of operations, future provisioning of profit. We want to be more prudent, so we want to simply, although we can, we have to be prudent for future provisioning. So we don't want to spend everything on what we have generated. So we do some reserve for future, what they call for future use. But the reason is well regulated in Tabung Haji.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. I think because now we 3:37, so we have very limited time. I have one question, but this is for all the speakers. The question is from one of the participants. Could OIC make one body to operate Umrah and Hajj? Can be from where we start. Maybe I start to Al-Hajj, Zikrullah, whether this initiative can be collaborated or what? Can OIC make one body to operate Umrah and Hajj? If you say can, from where we start?
That's a very important question.
Yeah.
And I'm not familiar with the OIC treaties. I don't know the limit of their powers. But the truth is that it's important for us to have a universal standard, universal global standard that all of us need to adhere to, particularly in order to help the Muslim Ummah. I think it's the best way to go, since eventually, if the OIC are able to do that, the Muslim Ummah will start to benefit, not just in the way of Hajj rights, also in the way of return from investment that can really ameliorate the several millions of Muslims who are in abject poverty. I think the OIC should, but I'm not aware of the extent of the powers they have in terms of regulating, particularly since it's going to be outside the borders of countries. But otherwise, other than that, I am in support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Al-Hajj Zikrullah. Maybe Dr. Huria, you have your opinion. Can OIC make a body to operate Umrah and Hajj, or maybe like a standard together among the OIC countries? Maybe you have your opinion.
Okay, thank you so much. Whether OIC can do that, it depends whether they want to do it or not. But whether it will be effective, that's a different story altogether. Because you see, I'm talking from Indonesian experience, because Indonesia has the largest pilgrims every year. We have over 230, if we include the VIP, the special judge. Then we have about 230,000 who judge every year. And now, if we are thinking of one OIC regulating all countries, not only Indonesia. Already in Indonesia, we are facing difficulties because, for example, when it comes to food, our challenge, for example, people from Sunda, they want something sweet. People from Padang, they want something hot. People from other part of Indonesia would like their own flavor that they are accustomed to, because they're spending all the time in Saudi. This itself has posed a challenge to Indonesia. Imagine when you have to do such variety for the whole world. That's something to ponder. And secondly, now when it comes to the priority, like now everyone has a fair game. Everyone has to fight, have to actually try their level best to get a priority in terms of closeness to the location, to the Kaaba, to the Masjid Nabawi, for example, and the tent, how close it is and how strategic it is in Arafah, Armina, and all that. Imagine if this is being held by OIC for the entire countries in the world. I cannot imagine the extent of confusion or headache that they will face, because everyone will appeal. Every country will appeal to them and try their, it's just like the same scenario that every country face will be repeated at the higher level. So I don't know whether it is a wise thing to do. I'm not quite sure about that, because at the end of the day, every country has got its own preference, has got its own scheme, has got its own etc. So many things, like the problems that are being faced by Indonesian pilgrims, for example, are not necessarily faced by the people from the Europe in terms of the queue time. Does it mean that we can actually take over the Europeans' waiting time? These are the things. Well, why not? I mean, like it could be taken as a subject of analysis and study, but the way how I see it, it will be too complicated. But not to say that OIC does not play any role at all when it comes to Hajj, because Hajj is always considered as something that belongs to Ummah. Everyone owns it, not just a specific organization, not just a specific. It doesn't even belong to Saudi, for example, even though Makkah is there. So I see at the moment they play the role. They actually set the quota for each country. So that's the role they play. Whenever those uniformity, those standards which are required, they are actually doing their part. If the question is, should they do more part? Yes. Should they be more progressive and giving more attention to it? I agree to it. I agree to this suggestion. So these are the aspects that we may want OIC to play more effective role, but for OIC to actually be the center, and especially if it is the only one that regulates the whole aspect of Hajj for the whole entire nations in the world, that will be too complicated matter to consider. But maybe, I don't know.
Thank you, Dr. Raya, for your explanation. I go to Dr. Endam.
Yeah, thank you.
Jumali,
Yeah, thank you.
whether
This-
you have your opinion
Okay,
on
thank you.
this.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmad Rafiki. This is the good idea for the IS,
Yeah, please.
for the
Dr.
OIC.
Endang, please.
Okay, this is the good idea for the OIC, the Board of Hajj
Dr.
and
Endang?
Umrah. But if we refer to the law of the Hajj
We
in
are very
Arab
sorry
Saudi,
because, yeah, in Saudi Arabia sometimes we have this kind of connection. So,
so if we refer to the law of Hajj
for
in Arab Saudi
this,
and also the
question.
the
Dr. Endang, please, your time.
yeah, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Mr. Ahmad, can you hear me?
Dr. Endang? Yeah, but not so clear. Can you repeat?
So,
Yeah, we can hear you.
if we refer to the law of Hajj in Arab Saudi
Yes.
and also the Ta'limatul Hajj, the
But
OIC,
please repeat.
if we refer to the law of Hajj in Arab Saudi and also the Ta'limatul Hajj of the Arab Saudi, the OIC, there is no decision for the Hajj. So, for the Hajj decision is significantly for the Islamic League, not for the IOC. So all of the Qanun, all of the law of the Hajj in Arab Saudi underline to the Ta'limatul Hajj and law of the Hajj in Arab Saudi. There is no decision for the Hajj from the IOC except the quota. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Endang, for your explanation. So now we go to Mr. Muhammad.
Yeah, I think I agree with Dr. Huria. I think every country have different preference, but of course, I think OIC can help, but in a very specific area, a very small niche area of things. For example, when it comes to Hajj, we look into two. One is Hajj operation, second is Hajj investment. When it comes to Hajj operation, maybe a very small area OIC can help. Maybe if you're looking to now, we are in the midst of crisis of pandemic, COVID-19.
Kenapa ya?
There will be new norm in Hajj operation. There will be new norm in how we perform Hajj. This is an area, a very special area where OIC can come in. For example, OIC can help develop a special app that can be used for all over the country, for all over Islamic country, on how we look into this new norm. How can we do social distancing in Saudi when we are performing Hajj? How can we do our logistic? How can we get our money?
Nggak kedengaran, Jack. Sekarang kan nggak ada suara, Jack. Aneh.
In Saudi, all this new norm can be packaged
sekarang kan
maybe in
suaranya
terms
nggak
of
masuk.
phone app. I don't know. I mean, but whatever it is, this is a time where OIC can help us collecting all the data. They can data bank on this new norm and packages in the form of something like apps. Okay, and then when the new Hajj coming next year, we are ready with this. Okay, we have the apps, we have the logistic ideas, we have the expansion ideas, financial ideas to overcome this new norm. So just very small area that I think OIC can help. The second one is on investment. I think OIC can help because OIC has IDB as well. So from IDB, perhaps they can package an investment where it is palatable for all Hajj entities all over the world, Malaysia, Nigeria. So for example, there's an infrastructure fund that is beneficial for Hajj, and this fund can be offered to all. Let's say a certain amount of fund, they open it to with attractive return, and let's say guaranteed by OIC or guaranteed by IDB. So by IDB, because IDB itself is AAA, so there's a very good credit standing. With this guarantee, it will attract the fund from Indonesia, from Malaysia. Let's work together, going into this fund, and the benefit is not just from the return, but from the pilgrims who are using these assets in Mecca. So I'm just looking for these two small ideas of how YC can help.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Maybe you can combine together with your closing remarks for this webinar. Please.
Oh yeah, my closing remark, is it? Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. I think this is a very good knowledge sharing. I myself, and on behalf of Tabung Haji, learn a lot from you, from the participants, from the moderator, from all the what do you call it, the organizers. So thank you very much for the invitation. I think we should have this discussion more often, whether it is half yearly or yearly. And in fact, we can share our knowledge on another platform, for example, in the social media, whether it's Facebook and so on. So I hope this discussion does not end here, because a lot more to learn from this. And inshallah, with this new norm, the knowledge is keep expanding, because we can see the new frontier ahead of us, which we don't know how it will look like next year. So inshallah, we need to have this discussion more often. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad. Maybe for Al-Hajj Zikrullah, you have your closing remarks, please. Hello, Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, once again, I want to thank the organizer for making me be part of this very enlightening process. I call it process with the understanding that this will just be a beginning of many more of this kind of interaction. I hope one day we'll be able to have a body, possibly coming up with different Hajjis organization in the entire Muslim world, where we'll be able to have industry-specific standard and process accreditation training. Because eventually, Muslim is just one word. I want to thank you once again, and I hope, inshallah, all of us meet in Makkah or Medina or Jeddah, inshallah, this time next year. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. And then, Dr. Endang, maybe you have your closing remarks.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Endang.
Jaki ante. Yeah, thank you for organizer for this webinar, and this is
Dr. Endang, can you give 1 minute or 2 minutes for the closing remarks?
Yeah, thank you for your invitation for me for the discuss webinar, and I very happy for the join with you in this seminar, because we can sharing the information about the regulation for the RAC. Thank you, and we can see in another time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Endang. So now, the last one, Dr. Buria, you have your closing remarks, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rafiki. Brother Rafiki, actually, since I know him quite a while in Bahrain. Let me actually express our utmost appreciation to you, to yourself, to Prof. Dadan, to Prof. Dadan Ramdan, and of course to my fellow speakers today. We have Dato' Damsal, Al-Hajj Zikrullah, and also my dear brother Dr. Endang. And I would like to echo the closing remark from Dr. Damsal just now, that yes, I think this is very useful. We should do this more often, and more importantly, I would like also to use this opportunity to relate the message to the Tabung Haji, especially that, we always look up at you when it comes to management of the fund. We would like to learn more, and most importantly, we would like to collaborate. We are quite fortunate that when it comes to Nigeria, for example, with Brother Zikrullah and his team, we have started our discussion of the potential collaboration, And of course, Dr. Endang is my partner in Saudi. So we are looking forward to actually establishing a firmer relationship with Tabung Haji. We have gone to Tabung Haji a few times to see the senior management there, and we hope that we can actually strengthen this and can actually put it into a more material form where we can have a collaboration and maybe joint investment together, be it in Saudi or in either of the countries. And to all those who have stayed here, we still have 232 participants up to now. Thank you so much for your patience, for sparing your time to listen to us. And I would like also to ask for your favor, if you don't mind, to be our agent of change outside there, because like when it comes to Hajj Fund, people sometimes has this misconception, sometimes people they have the wrong perception because they think because it's a huge fund, it is with an entity, anyone can actually, the government can have access to it. This is not right. On the contrary, because we all understood that this is the fund that belongs to the Hujjaj. This is the fund that belongs to the Ummah. We have actually given and we are giving our utmost care to it. We know that our responsibility does not stop here, does not stop only in the world, but also in the hereafter. So we take it as a sacred amanah, sacred trust that we actually safeguard as much, or maybe more careful than we are subjugating our own wealth. Yeah. So please tell everyone, Dana Haji aman, it's safe, and we actually manage it in a most governed and proper way, and we are transparent. But of course, don't listen to the medsos, whatever go wrong. If you want to read the medsos, go ahead, by all means, go to bpkh.ri. That's the accurate information. We have our Instagram, we have our tweet, we have our website. If you are looking for an accurate information, definitely you can find it there. And don't simply take whatever rumors that are outside. Please do tabayun. Please, we have a huge responsibility on our shoulders, because for those who doesn't know yet, the Jama'ah only pay half of the actual expenses. They pay half, the other half are actually being subsidized from what we could generate from the management of the Hajj Fund. So please pray for us. Please pray that we will be istiqamah, and please pray that we can focus on our work more
sampai mau minum
rather
padahal lagi
than
puasa.
trying to reduce the hoax that spread around.
Aduh,
Thank you so much.
nggak jelas.
Jazakumullah khair.
Nggak tahu nih, kadang
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
kalau sekarang ini kan mau musim
Thank you very much, Dr. Huria.
internet di Saudi itu
In fact, actually,
ya udah gitu
there are
aja,
many
pokoknya
questions.
kabelnya suara aja. Tapi ibu bisa ngelihat kan gambar saya.
And many of them asking about the transparency and the mission
dari Saudi susah makanya
of fund, and then other related matters related to the investment.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Huria already mentioned, already explained in details, everything is open, transparent. So don't, avoid any rumors. Please do tabayun as she mentioned just now, and that's why I'm not asking the same question, because many questions have a similarity, and with that we have completed all our agenda today. But since our time is very limited, although this is considered as a very interesting topic and discussion where all experts have given their experience, knowledge, and
Kayak waktu dengan itu bisa aja dengan Irjen
all
gimana
of
sih?
you can get some information, knowledge, updates on implementation in Indonesia, as well as in other OIC countries. Let's close our event by citing Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Tuh orang
On
pada
behalf
jelas
of
suaranya.
University, Hajj Fund Management Agency (BPKH) and Indonesian Association of Islamic Economists (IAEI), See you in the next series, inshallah. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you everyone. Jazakumullah khair.
Please, to all speakers, we can take a picture together before we leave.
How do you take picture in Zoom?
They somehow managed to find a way, Dato. So don't worry.
I purposely wear Indonesian batik for this, you know.
Yeah, I could notice that.
MashaAllah. It's very nice. Nice pattern, Dato. Who will take the picture?
It's funny. You suggested it and you asked who would do it.
The committee? At least, yeah.
Share the picture later, yeah, in the email.
Yes, please do.
Bang Yofi, Ibu dia, is he okay now? What do you think?
Should I smile now?
Yes.
Tidak?
Yeah.
Oh, ya, alhamdulillah. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Damsal and Al-Hajj Zikrullah and Dr. Indah, and also your time and your contribution. Hope to see you again next
When
year.
whenever you are in Malaysia, please give me a call and then let me know.
I hope to see you soon, Dato.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
We look forward to, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Udah cek all close out.